the difference between cleaning an Airbnb property versus a residential property. That's the subject of this video. Welcome everyone, my name is Fernando David, and in this video, we're gonna be discussing the difference between cleaning an Airbnb property versus a residential property. And I'm super stoked, super excited to have two guests. These two guests are truly the backbone of my business. I really love these two ladies, and more importantly, they are experts in the subject matter. So without further ado, let me bring on Paula and Bea. Okay, ladies, can you do me a favor and introduce yourselves to the viewers?
Hi guys, I'm Paula. I work for Dragonfly Cleaning Agency and we work together.
My name is Bea. Meu nome é Bea, desculpa. Sou sócia proprietária com a Paula da Dragonfly Cleaning Agência e prestamos serviço. É um prazer estar aqui com o Fernando David.
Okay, ladies, can you do me a favor and explain to the viewers we'll start with the major difference between cleaning an Airbnb property versus a residential property.
Well, for me, the main difference is that there can be no signs of the past guest because we're restocking and we are, how do you call it? We're staging the house for the new guests and everything's going to be spotless, clean. Not that in our residential clients we don't need to be spotless. It's not that. It's that for Airbnb it's really important that there's no signs of the other guests. For me, that's the most important thing.
E também para nós da Dragonfly, né, falando em português agora, para nós é uma diferença muito grande porque, ou seja, você está numa limpeza regular na casa de um cliente, onde você está toda semana. Você esqueceu um fio de cabelo ou algo assim, é dele ou da família. Ou seja, um guest, quando ele sai de viagem, ele sai para ter um conforto a mais que sua própria casa. Ele não quer chegar lá e comprar um fio de cabelo. Ou seja, o trabalho é muito mais redobrado, a atenção e principalmente os detalhes. A gente tem que ter um olho de águia quando se trata de casas de vacation.
Let's expand on staging. You mentioned staging is different between a residential property and an Airbnb property, but can you elaborate on that? Can you tell me a little bit more what's the difference between the two?
Sure. On staging on Airbnb, it's a bit different because we're going to restock all the amenities in a way that the guest will feel welcome. It's not their house, but they will feel a little bit of home in it. So we fluff the pillows a little different. We do all the throws in a special way so it looks cute. And we fold the toilet papers in a special way, and we fold the towels too. So that's one of the differences in staging.
No Airbnb é diferente das casas regulares que limpamos porque as toalhas são dobradas diferente, todo o cuidado da coxa, da cama, os detalhes até mesmo do enfeite, nós tomamos conta diferente de uma casa onde se tem um cliente regularmente toda semana, de uma casa de férias. E até mesmo diferente que eu vejo muito que tem são os produtos que usamos, né? Produtos que esterilizam bactérias, patagônios. Então é muito diferente a limpeza, desde o tratamento do deep clean, porque veja bem, uma casa de vacation é feita um deep clean todas as vezes que sai um guest. Ela não é. E na casa do guest, não. A gente faz um deep clean. Na casa limpezas regulares, nós fazemos uma limpeza comum, no dia a dia. Às vezes o cliente fala, faz um deep clean para mim, então é agendado um deep clean. Na casas de BNB, de Airbnb, não. Sair um guest é feito um deep clean minuciosamente, bem detalhadamente. Ou seja, então é pensado em tudo e dessa forma é que levamos o melhor para os guests.
Okay, what other aspects of, okay, give me another example that's different in a residential property versus an Airbnb property.
We need to be very thorough with the Airbnb cleaning, so there's no signs of the other guests for the new guests checking in. So we have to be really careful of checking all the drawers, checking all inside closets, like for everything, like every little detail counts. So that's another main difference, because on a residential client, you're not going to touch their stuff. You can still leave a brush, a hairbrush, a toilet toothbrush in there, so it's not going to make a difference. And on Airbnb, you got to be paying attention to all these details, so there's nothing left behind.
Nas casas de BNB e nas casas de clientes, ou seja, nós abrimos todos os gabinetes, gavetas de banheiro, para ver se não tem uma escova de dente, uma escova de cabelo. É também, gente, checado todos os copos e pratos, mesmo que não foram usados. Por quê? Às vezes a pessoa lavou e guardou. E na casa do cliente nós não temos esse tipo de trabalho a fazer, de sair checando os copos e talheres que são usados no dia a dia do decorrer da casa. No BNB, sim. A peça foi usada ou não, temos que pegar, checar, olhar e colocar no lugar.
Okay, so that's two differences. Let's see if we can identify three more. So give me another one.
Well, there's a time restriction. Definitely on an Airbnb, we need to act very quickly because there's a guest checking in on the same day. So we need to be very thorough on a deep cleaning and also get ready to be able to get everything ready by the time the next guest checks in. So that's another very big difference, and we have to be able to make it happen in that time frame.
Sometimes make the machine your own. Sometimes the machine, the clients regular don't have machine.
Yeah, if the house has an odor, then we'll need to use a special machine sometimes to deodorize the house.
Like what, and that's a good point, because when we mentioned, or they mentioned, is the time restrictions, right? Checkouts are normally at 11, check-ins are around 3 or 4. You really have a short window of opportunity to get in and get out. And as they stated in the first reason is the detail, right? Have to be extremely detail orientated to manage an Airbnb business. But the other aspect you just mentioned is the machine. What's the machine called?
It's an ozone machine.
Right, and what does that machine really do?
If you have any kind of very strong smell in the house, then you need to use that kind of machine to filter the whole air, and it will take away like smoke, cigarette smoke, everything. Every odor you have in the house, it will be gone, but you need to have the space available for 2 days. Nobody can get in the house for 2 days.
Yeah.
That's not regular. It's not something that regularly we need to use, but sometimes that's necessary. So we need to.
As the host, I can tell you, and they know, we've had very few incidents, but the times that we've had, was usually with marijuana smoke, which is a very strong pungent odor. To get that out, we have to first we clean it, we put the machine in there, it has to stand for 24 hours, and then we have to air the room out. So it does cause a bit of a problem if you have a check-in or check-out at the same day. So I strongly suggest, if that happens to you, first, if you watch some of my other videos as we discuss about the resolution desk, but have a plan B for in case that happens. Make sure you're ready to help that guest stay someplace else, right? This is why I recommend that you network with other hosts, because at some point, if you're in this business long enough, it's going to happen, and you're going to have to move a guest from one property to the next. But a good answer. Next one. What's another difference?
Difference é quando temos bom administrador também. Porque não adianta nós termos bom trabalho se não temos bom administrador das casas de vacation. Ou seja, nós temos bom parceiro. Isso é uma das diferenças, porque nas casas residenciais, que é a limpeza regular que a gente chama, A pessoa não precisa estar ali pensando nos detalhes. Você vai chegar e você vai fazer o que é de hábito semanal. Quando você tem na casa de vacation, se você não tem um bom administrador, um cara atencioso com aquilo, o que acontece? Faltam as coisas para você. Então, o teu trabalho fica pela metade. Porque não adianta você ir lá dar um bom clean, o lençol não ser bom, as toalhas não ser boa, a casa não está em boas condições, ou seja, é o nome da tua empresa que vai estar também ligado. Então, é uma das coisas muito diferentes para nós, porque quando a gente abre o leque para casas de vacation, é o nome da empresa que estamos levando. Né? Ou seja, para o mundo todo, né? Que vem nessas casas. Então, se você não tem o parceiro certo, o parceiro ideal para trabalhar, você pode ter problemas no futuro. Não é o nosso caso, que nós temos o Fernando, graças a Deus, que está sempre ali com a gente liga, está nos socorrendo. Mas isso é muito
Always
importante.
on call.
Translate what she just said. Yes, I want. This is what she just said is extremely critical. So I'm going to have Paula translate that because I want her to expand on that.
Yes, to have a good communication with your team, it's absolute necessity because it's super important to be able to communicate all the problems, be on call for any stuff that happens. You need to be able to solve the problem, so nothing gets left behind, and we have to always be in touch. That's extremely important.
I mentioned that on other videos. Communication is key, right? Your team is critical. And you as the host, right? You have to be able to not only communicate what you want, but you should be able to be like the director, right? Especially if you're like me, you have multiple properties. You have to, everything has to be done on a timely manner. And there's one thing that she brought up that I want Paula to address, which is definitely a big difference, is on the towels and sheets. What's the difference between a towels and sheets and a regular residential and one on Airbnb?
Oh yeah, that will get our work a lot easier. It's to have the right towels and the right sheets. They need to be comfortable for the guests, and they also need to be practical for the cleaning crew. Because if you have the heavy-duty towels, like super fluffy comforters, you can't do the turnover in 4 or 5 hours. You need to be able to finish the cleaning and all the laundry in time, and it's extremely important to have all the right things to set up the right Airbnb.
Correct. So it's a lot of people have the misconception that it's A, that it's super easy to host, right? It's not. But B, that you can buy any regular towel and it'll work. But in reality, it doesn't work, right? You need to have that, again, like she mentioned, it needs to be a towel that a guest is going to enjoy, but it also needs to be a towel that your cleaners can clean quickly. So that's a great tip and hugely important. Now that we talked about the towels, I want you to expand more on the laundry. Can like what's, because I know that's a big difference, right?
Oh my God, what a good difference it makes to have a good set of washer and dryer. A world of difference. For us, our work will be so much easier to have a good, fast washing machine and drying machine. Oh, the dryer especially, it needs to be able to get very hot and dry it faster because we have to wash all the comforters, all the sheets, all the throws, even sometimes zip up off the pillows and wash them too. So it's a lot of laundry and not a lot of time. So
And the cover the mattress também, que vai.
it's comforters, huh?
That's so having a good set of washer and dryer is critical. But what's even better, and we have this in some of our properties, we have an extra set of washer and dryers. And for example, in this property that we're filming now, each unit has a washer and dryer, and then we have a separate set of washer and dryers in the shed out back. Because, like she mentioned, especially if you don't have multiple sets, which I highly recommend you do, but if you don't have multiple sets where you can just take stuff home and wash it later, which I don't recommend you do that, but if you don't have that ability, you definitely need to have a strong or a good set of washer and dryers. All right, one last thing. What do you think it's important, or the difference between a residential property and an Airbnb property?
The floor is different, não? Porque no chão, tipo assim, ele é tratado diferente, o chão limpo de uma casa de BNB ele é diferente. A gente pode usar os produtos químicos HIV, hepatite, que é os produtos que a
We,
gente usa.
we use some different, some special products to
Yeah.
disinfect the Airbnbs. We have some special products for the floors, and they disinfect and they kill a lot of bacteria. So that's really important too. We're especially after the COVID, we have to be extra careful. First, with our protection when we go clean, and we have to use the whole gear, the mask, the gloves, the shoe protector, everything. So, and we use really special products for the floors and disinfect all the how do you call it, the most
Surfaces?
surfaces. Yes.
Okay, we're going to touch on one more thing, and that's going to be different between a residential and an Airbnb property. And can you expand on what changed since COVID-19? Like, what do you do different?
Oh yes, lots of changes. Starting in our gear, we need to protect ourselves when we go clean. So we're using gloves and masks and shoe protectors. That's for our residential clients too as well. But for Airbnb especially, we're using different products for the floors and all the surfaces. We need to clean first with soap and water, and we need to disinfect to use a special product for that. And we'll kill a huge amount of bacteria and viruses. And also we sanitize the toilets. We use a band to seal the toilets. We have to be very careful now because all our guests are expecting a spotless home, and we're here to deliver that. So we are really focused on deep cleaning in every turnover now.
Bom, a diferença para nós agora com a época do Covid para casas, né? Antes do Covid nós já não teríamos todos os equipamentos de segurança, porque são casas de férias, a gente recebe pessoas do mundo inteiro. Mas é uma das diferenças que nós estamos tendo agora, mais cuidado ainda, né? Usar luva, máscara, fomos para os chus e também o chão, desculpa aí trocando em inglês. O chão, nós trazemos um produto special que ele mata HIV, hepatite, por quê? É uma coisa mais específica para esse tipo de limpeza. Ela é feita, como eu te disse nos vídeos lá anteriores, que é feito um deep clean a cada saída e entrada de guest, é feito um deep clean minuciosamente, ou seja, é toda esterilizada essa casa. Nos banheiros, a gente lava como de praxe, com sabão, desinfetantes e tudo que é dentro das normas do Covid-19. E também usamos um lacre sanitário, onde a gente lacra os toilets para que as pessoas possam ter a segurança de que aquele ambiente está todo esterilizado, onde ele vai estar, com segurança.
Well, do us one quick favor. If a viewer wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, we're on social media as Dragonfly Cleaning Agency, and you can reach us in there too. And our phone number is 561-255-4642.
That's all going to be listed in the comments below or in the section below. I will provide you a link to that. And then we're going to recap in a second. All right, so let's go ahead and recap. And let me apologize for the audio. I know it's a little tough. We did have a mic for my two guests, but we're going to go ahead and recap in case you missed something when we discussed. The biggest 8 differences are the following. Number one, we talked about turnover, right? As an Airbnb cleaner, you have to be able to turn over that property extremely quickly. Similarities between the two is the basics, right? You're still going to clean the house just like you would do any house. But the difference is it's going to be super detailed in a Airbnb property. And you're going to pay attention to the little stuff. So for example, the toilet paper that Paula and Dea discussed, how you fold the towels, the way you make the bed, those little details are important. The other thing that's super important on that is that you're going to double check, triple check to make sure there's no signs of the previous guests. So for example, and probably in the normal residential cleaning, you're not checking all the drawers, kitchen cabinets, etc. You're definitely doing that in an Airbnb property. You're making sure that all the glassware is washed and there's no signs of use. Fourth is the staging, right? You want to make sure that it is stage ready. Just like if you're going to do a photo shoot, you want to make sure that that presentation is there. And you want to go, it's like I put here on number 8, the cleaners, especially our cleaners, do a very good job of what I refer to as the wow factor, right? We want somebody to walk in and say, wow, this is nice, smells good, it looks good, it's clean, etc. The other two things that a regular cleaner doesn't do that our cleaners do, or an Airbnb cleaning company should be doing, is watching over your inventory and damages. It's extremely important because they're the first eyes on the property to let the host, like for me, for example, let me know, are there any issues? Are there any stuff missing? Are there any damages? Those stuff are extremely important. And then lastly is the cleaners need to be extremely flexible with their schedule, right? I may have a guest extend. I may have a guest cancel early or have to leave early for whatever reason. And my cleaners need to be extremely flexible for that. I hope you found this information useful. If you did, please do us a huge favor and subscribe, like, share, hit the notification button, and follow us on Instagram.